In this video we're going to look at how to model the hook of the detailed pizza cutter using Onshape. This is a relatively simple component to look at, but it involves some newer processes that we haven't used yet in the software. So I'll try and take things relatively slowly. So let's create a new document and we'll call it hook, and that will take us into our modeling window. So we're going to start off creating a sketch on the right work plane. So right click, new sketch, right click, and try again, right click, view normal to sketch plane. So I'm going to start off with a circle, and I'm going to draw that circle to the right of the origin. So I'm just going to drag out a circle, and then I'm going to dimension it. Now I want the diameter to be 2 millimeters, and just use the mouse wheel to scroll in, and from the origin to the center of the circle I want to be 6.5 millimeters. And that's it. That's all there is to that sketch. Whereas before, we've now applied a feature directly to that sketch. We're going to create another sketch. So click the tick to exit the sketch, and we can right click to go to isometric. No, okay, if that's not working, we'll go over here and go to isometric. So we can just see our sketch there on the right work plane. Our next sketch is going to be on the top work plane. So right click, new sketch, right click, view normal to sketch plane. So if I zoom in, you can just about see our sketches there. So again, I'm going to use a center point circle. I'm going to come over to the left of the origin, and I'm going to draw a circle, and I'm going to dimension that. Now the diameter of this one is going to be 13 millimeters, and from the center of the circle to the origin, it's going to be 30 millimeters. I'm now going to use the line tool, and I'm going to hover over the center of the circle and go out to make sure that I get it at the 12 o'clock position, and just drag a line out until it lines up with the origin, and you'll notice that's kind of pierced the center of our other sketch. And I'm going to do the same over the other side, so make sure I'm lining up with the center of the circle, and then end the line lining up with the origin, or the edge of this work plane. And finally I'm going to use the trim tool to cut away that half of the circle, and I'm now going to exit that sketch. So I'm just going to manipulate that round using the right mouse button. So you can see both sketches are both grayed out because we haven't got an active sketch at the moment. We're going to use the sweep tool. So we need to select face of the sketch to sweep. So that's going to be sketch 1. And we need a sweep path. That's going to be sketch 2. And you can see that it's taken our circle and swept it along that other sketch to create a solid part. Click the tick. We're happy with that. We're now going to draw our next sketch on the front work plane. So far, our component represents a bit of round wire that's been bent into a U shape to create a hook. Right click on the front plane, select new sketch, right click, view normal to sketch work plane. And we're going to zoom in to the end that's near the origin. Now to stop that from slipping out, what usually happens is part of that wire would be compressed, and that would make it a bit narrower, but then spread it out sideways. So first of all, we're going to do a cut to make it look like it's been compressed. So I'm going to use the corner rectangle tool, and I'm just going to drag out a rectangle close to this end, which I will now dimension. So I want the length of the rectangle to be 5 millimeters. I want the distance from the end to this line to be 1 millimeter. Now remember, if it's pulled the rectangle over the other side of the line, if this line was over here, I could type in -1 and it would send it the other way. And I want from the work plane here to that line to be 0.25, and I do want it above the line, so if I type in -0.25 and hit enter, it puts it above the line. Okay, so that's how the minus can work on the dimensions. It doesn't matter how high this rectangle is, because I'm just going to use it to cut out a slot. So I'm going to go to the Features tool. In fact, let's go to the isometric view so you can see how this works. So if we go to the isometric view, you can see that that sketch is in the middle. So if I go to the Features and I go Remove, and if I go through all, it goes off in one direction, it'll remove all the material. So I want to go second end position, and I want to make that one through all as well. Click the tick, and if I zoom in, you can see it's cut out a bit of material. And I want to do the same underneath, so I'm going to use the mirror tool, change part mirror to feature mirror, and then extrude one. Mirror plane is going to be the top work plane, so I could select that from here. So just make sure I've got that. Click on the top work plane, click the tick. If we zoom back in and move it around, you can see that it's done that. I now want to create a sketch on this surface here. So select the surface, right click, new sketch. And I want to view normal to the sketch work plane, and I want to zoom in so I can see what's going on. Right, I'm going to start off with the line tool, and I'm going to make sure that that snaps to the middle of the left hand edge and snaps to the middle of the right hand edge. I also want to snap to the corner from that line to the corner. So if I just zoom in, you can see it's on this corner here, it's snapped there. That's going to be important in a moment. Okay, I'm now going to add in a center circle. I'm going to make sure the center is over here somewhere, but I will line it up with the middle of this line. So I'm going to select the middle of this line, hover up, you can see the dotted orange line, and I'm going to drag out a circle. I'm not going to dimension the diameter, but I'm going to make sure that the edge of the circle, the circumference of the circle, snaps to that line that I've drawn there. I could snap it to that line as well. It should be snapped to both. I'm going to use the dimension tool now to measure from this line to the center of the circle, and I want that to be 2.5 millimeters. So you can see it's moved the circle over, it's changed the relationship there, but the circle's still snapped to those lines. And I'm now going to trim off the bit of the circle that I don't want. So using the trim tool, I'm going to trim that away. Now I now want to have the same effect over here. To save drawing it, I'm going to mirror those entities. Now because I'm in a sketch, if I go mirror, it wants me to select a mirror line, which is going to be the line that I drew just now, and then it automatically wants me to go on to the entities. So I'm going to pick that line, the curve, another line. So I've now got my shape. I'm now going to trim the mirror line, and I have my shape there. So if I just use the right mouse button to come down, what I want to do now is extrude that shape. So feature, I'm going to add material in. I want the distance to be the other direction, but I'm going to just pick an end requirement of up to face, and then I'm going to pick that face. So it's changed the direction and filled it in. If I click on the tick and move around, you can see that we've got a slightly squash shape. So as I said, that represents this round bit of bar being compressed in that area and the material being removed from here and squished out there. There would be a little bit of a radius in there, but we don't need to worry about modelling that. Now I need to do the same over here. We could remodel that, but let's use the mirror tool. So you don't want an entity, you want a feature to mirror, and we want to mirror that. So we want to extrude to mirror, and the mirror plane we've zoomed out so that we can see the front work plane. Click the tick, and we just maneuver that around. You can see now it's mirrored over there. And that's the hook created.